Welcome to everyone who's joining us today for part 2 of our Back to Basics on Java series. So welcome back if you joined us last week on the first session, and to those of you who are just joining us today, you're also very welcome. Today we have about a 25 to 30 minute session delivered by Rory, who is a senior cloud advocate for Java. So really looking forward to the next 30 minutes or so. Please feel free to get involved today through the Q&A. I'll be keeping an eye on that, so any comments, feedback, questions that you have, feel free to pop them into the Q&A section. Just a quick reminder of our code of conduct before we get underway. Just a quick reminder to everyone to be aware of others, be welcoming and respectful. Everyone joining here may have different viewpoints and so on, so just to really be mindful of that and open to all questions and differences. So I will hand over to Rory to get us started with today. Rory, feel free to take it away.
Thanks so much, Emma. When I started the session, I was told, Rory, we need you to teach everyone the cloud in 25 minutes. And I go, yeah, I can do that. I can teach everyone Azure in 25 minutes. So hold on, and we're going for a really, really exciting ride. First, I want to do a tug of war. If your surname starts with an L or before, so A to L, I want you to be in team 1. If your surname starts with from M to Z, you're in team 2. So I am Preddy, so it would be team 2. And I want you to go to ak.ms/tug of war. You can see my screen there. We're going to do a tug of war because what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you storage and functions in a couple of minutes, and then we're going to go through DevOps and teach you app services, containers, and also a few other resources. So go to ak.ms/tug-of-war and start clicking. You'll get a nice little button there. So I would be clicking team 2, and if you are A to L, then you can click team 1. So I'm going to start there, and I'm going to feverishly click on team 2. Hope someone else is also clicking on team 1. Let's go back there, and you'll see there that it should actually update. Let's wait for it to update. So what we're doing here is this is all serverless, and it's running using, there we go. 67, team 1, only one, there we go, team 1, click, more. I'm going to beat you. Pick up the momentum, team 1. Oh, okay, someone's really vehemently clicking there on team 1. Oh, no, okay. Team 2, someone pick up the pace for team 2. We really need to get this going. Team 1 is winning. And this is all done serverless, all using storage accounts also. I think that team 1 is going to win, and well done, team 1. You win the love and appreciation of all your peers. And this really was all serverless, pennies per year, and this runs Azure Functions. And you can get the repo for this. Team 1 won. Well done, team 1. You can go to the repo, and it's actually run by Joe's Cars. And if you go into the repo here, you'll see there that it's got some nice little graphics there. And this is the image. And you'll see here that everything is serverless. It uses, I'm going to just make that a little bit bigger. It uses HTTP triggers. It fronts with, let me make that smaller. It fronts with some APIs. And then it uses queues, tables to monitor those pointers. The points. So you can go into, and I'll put that there again for you, Joe Cars function demo, and you can access that. And the nice thing about this is that it's a great way to demonstrate, and let me put it here for you. So that's the repo there, Joe Cars tug of war functions demo. So you can access that. Now, why do I show this? Because this is a great way to show you storage, databases, and a lot of other features. And a lot of the features that we demoed today, you make the assumption that you need to have a state there. And this is all run completely state-free. It's run in JavaScript, but you could also do it in Java. And you've got index.js here, which for this example here, get current score. It gets the score from the storage, and then it actually just puts it onto the HTML though. And why I'm showing this, because this is a great way to actually show you storage, table, queue, and also each of the underlying HTTPs uses storage. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. The second one is I'm going to teach you DevOps, app services, containers, and in literally 3 clicks. So let's go and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to close that. So that's functions first. And this also, we're going to go through some resource management with resource groups and also permissioning as we get through this. So I'm going to go to my portal. And recently updated, they got GitHub with Azure with DevOps on the Azure portal. So I've got my portal here, and we're going to create an entire workflow with GitHub Actions with Spring and also containers. So let's go into here. So I've got my portal here, and I've got you can see the DevOps starter. So I go to DevOps starter, and I've got a backup here because it's quicker if I just go to the backup. So I'm going to go create, and you get a choice with that create of all the different languages. I'm a Java developer, so we're going to go to Java. So you've got .NET, Node, PHP, Java, and so I'm going to click on Java. And what you'll notice right at the bottom, they recently set DevOps starters with GitHub as the default, GitHub Actions. I was really excited. I even contacted the developer and I said, well done. So we've got Java. I'm going to choose Spring here, and then I'm going to choose, you've got Linux, Web App, Windows, Kubernetes, and Web App for containers. I'm going to do Web App for containers next. And then I'm going to authorize my GitHub account. So Azure DevOps can actually go create that repo there. And I'm going to call that Reactor RP ZA, Rory Pretty South Africa. I've got my subscription here, my web app name. I'll just leave it at South Central US, and then all the additional settings I'm going to leave. Next, and it will actually tell me that my web app name, it's actually just verifying that my web app name is valid. And that's all you have to do to create an entire workflow with DevOps starters. Now, what that's going to do, you can see that it's provisioning my resource groups and assigning roles to Active Directory. And what it's doing, it's creating a container registry. It's creating a Spring Boot app. Then it's going to build that container. Then it's going to publish that container and publish the web app. And all of this is available via DevOps starters. All of the core technologies that you want to do in Azure is actually available via the DevOps starter portal. And I've got my other project there, which we'll go into, because this takes about 6 to 7 minutes to actually run, which I don't know if I have patience for that really. So this is the one that already has been created. That I did earlier today. And you can see there, it's the DevOps starter. I'm just going to authorize it in GitHub, because what it does, it goes and looks at your GitHub actions and sees the state that the project is. So I've got my actual project there, and I can click on that. I called it Azure RPZA. It's my Spring Boot application. It's got all of the template information. And if I go to actions here, you'll see there that it's actually got my workflow file. So I can go into the workflow file, and you can select your workflow file. And I've got my job statuses here: build and push to ACR, and Azure Container Registry, deploy application to AKS. That's actually a bug. I actually contacted the developer, and we're going to fix that. That's how awesome cloud developers are. We help in fixing that. And you can see the workflow file here. It's got all of the necessary kind of roles there to go through and build your application in Maven and then publish it to that. And then finally, it's got functional tests. It runs Selenium in the background and tests your system. You can see there, set up test environment and run the tests. And it runs Selenium with Chromium inside Azure GitHub Actions and builds your application for you. So let's see exactly what was built, and we can see how and what cloud systems there. So the first thing you want to do is that we've got our app there. You want to go to the application endpoint, and that's the app service that's running in a container successfully. GitHub Workflow has been successfully set up with your Java Spring app and is running on Azure. Next thing I want to do is I want to check exactly what it built. So I want to go into my resource group. Now your resource group is a container for all your resources. I'm going to make this, I'm going to minimize that blade there. We call these blades. I want to make that blade a little bit smaller, and I'm going to go into my resources here. Let me make that a little bit smaller. And you'll see there that I've got 5 actual items. One is I've got a shared dashboard that I want to show you that just shows with application insights. I've got my application insights. So DevOps starters actually goes in and creates your monitoring and your observability object. Then I've got my app service plan. Now, your app service plan, it's a server. You're running a server and you can put lots of apps on it, and that's what you really pay for. And the novelty of Azure is that the app service plan, you can share it. So I can run multiple apps. If I need more capacity, then I get a better plan. Then I've got my actual app service. And the last thing, I've got my container registry. Now, my container registry, I can go into that, and that's the actual Docker file that we're going to look at and how that works. You can see here, I've got my repositories, and I can go in there and I can interrogate the container registry. So those are all the resources that were created with that DevOps starter here, including the application insights. Now, what I did is before this, I actually called the Azure resource, that website there, 2,500 times. And I wanted to show you that because over here you can see there's 2,000 times. The server request has already hit 2,000 times. And I can click onto that application insights and I get the entire observability for my application. I can go to application maps. I should only see one website here because we're only serving a Spring Boot application here. Let's go refresh. I don't want to do past hour. I want to do past 24 hours because Azure advocates do not sleep. If you want to do the job for an Azure advocate, it's weekends and also it's at night time. So I can go into investigate performance. And then I get a nice performance tune. You can see there, that's when I did most of it, 9 o'clock this morning, most of my load. And I can go into investigate performance there. And I can see here that I've got all my operations. It's serving a lot of that information. And then I can see that everything is running fine. So that's application insights and also observability. And you can go into Profiler. There's a lot more that you can actually get. You can see we're still on DevOps starters. But let's do the meat and potato. Let's go back into our DevOps starter. And let's look at the actual application that we did, the app insights. So if I go into app insights there, I can see here that I've got my application app service here. And the app service is linked to a app service plan. So I can go into my app service plan, and you'll see there that I defaulted for the S1, which is a beautifully powerful server. I think it's 4 CPUs, 8 gigs of RAM, lots of power for your service here. And I can upgrade it if I want, and I can also scale out. So let's see here what we got here. I've got S1, there we go. Okay, 2 gigs of RAM, and then A series complete, and I can go all the way up to some monster servers that you can actually get here. Or I can downgrade it to F1, which is free. I don't even have to pay for that underlying server. And that gives you 60 minutes a day complete and free, or B1, which is a burst server. So one is scale up. The next is scale out. I can go and I can create auto scaling linked to that service there, running on containers. So I can go manual scale. So I can scale out to, what does this go up to here? Let's just go see. Wow, okay. 10 servers, and that's linked to my app service plan. Or I can go to custom auto scale and say, I want to scale in a metric, and I want to scale up when my services, my concurrent sessions equal average. Let's go. It's going to go 10 sessions. So scale up when I get 10 sessions, and then scale back in, pay as you go when I go, I don't have any load, and then you'll get kind of a spike, and we call it the Black Friday spike. Spike up when Black Friday happens, and then pay as you go down to not spiking when we don't have any load. So that's auto scaling, and it's a really great feature to take advantage of cloud. Reliability and with elasticity with auto scaling. That's really why you want to be on the cloud systems. So that's our app service. Now with app services also, you want to get the code that you're deploying it to. So if you remember on the DevOps starter, let's just make sure our other DevOps starter here. So yeah, there's the one that we did before, and you can go into the one that we did there, and then you can clone, because it is GitHub. You can clone this and run it locally on your PC, and then you get all the access to all of the nice features there. So I've got my workflow here, my GitHub workflow, and I can go into my actual GitHub repo, and then you can clone it there because that's exactly what we created. And I've got it running here now in my Visual Studio Code. So let me minimize that, and then that's the one that I had before, and Azure ZA. And you can see here, this now has a few folders. I've got an ARM template. Now ARM is Azure Resource Monitor template, an application, and in the application I've got the sample application and then some functional tests, and I've got a Dockerfile. So when we look at the ARM template, and this is really how that DevOps system works. It's got some nice YAML here, actually a lot of YAML. But the nice thing is with Visual Studio Code, I can just click on the visual representation of that, and I can get, let me just make that a little bit bigger. I don't want to close that actually. This is what happens when you do this in multiple screen resolutions. Sometimes Visual Studio goes, yeah, not going to do that right now. Let's make that bigger. Let's make that bigger. I'm going to actually make that smaller to make it bigger. So you make it smaller to go bigger. And minimize. There we go. I'm going to close that. And then this is what we're actually creating. Now you can see this is the visual, the nice extension, the ARM template viewer. So I've got a website, which is the, you can see there, resource group, and it is a server farm, and it's got a hosting plan. And that is creates your resource group, your application service, and then that points to a server farm, because you might have multiple different types of servers. At the same time, I've got my container registry that I'm going to push my Dockerfile, and then I've also got my application insights. You can see there application insights that we're going to create our observability. So this is a nice way to see the ARM template there. So it's don't get too overwhelmed here, but you can actually drill through with that. And this creates your resource group, your application insights, your container registry, your app services, and everything by the DevOps starters. So let's go into a little bit more. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger now. I want to close that ARM view. Let's go into our project and see exactly what goodies that we have though. So that's my project here. I've got my application folder here, and then I've got my Dockerfile. So let's start, because we know that we're running containers here. You might be pushing this to container, and I tested this. I took the sample web app and I just pushed the sample web app using the Maven plugin. And now if I go into the app services here, without using container, I just push that with the Maven plugin here. You can see that's my sample web app here, and that's just the sample web app push without the container. I can also run the container locally, which I am doing right now. You can see here, this is the exact same container they're running with app services. And if I go to local host here, I'm running the container locally also here. So there's so many different ways that you can actually get this working. So let's look at the Dockerfile that we actually used to get this working. So you can see here that it's just a Tomcat 8. Then it goes and finds and deletes the existing application, and then copies my target WAR file in the application here. So the sample application here, and in the target folder of the WAR file, and just pops it into the container. And that's what the DevOps starter does with application containers. So it builds the Dockerfile, then it takes the WAR file of the application service, which you can run separately, and then pops it into the Dockerfile container. You can actually run the Dockerfile container like I showed you before. You can go to the Docker view in your extension. You can see there, I'm actually running that Dockerfile there locally though. So once we've got that container with the container registry, then we push it through with the DevOps process. Let me go back into the DevOps starter here. And I'm going to use the one that we just created here, the Reactor RPZA. And this should be finished by now. It takes about 8 minutes to create your entire workflow that you've got here. Let's see. I had to reload my Mac today. Not reload, but I had to do the Mac update. And I thought to myself, Rory, the day of the actual Reactor session, you shouldn't be restarting that. So I've got my push, build and push to ACR, deploy to ACR, and then run the functional test. Now, if I go back into my application here and my resource group, I can click on the app service here. You'll see the resource group that you have there. And then I've got my container registry over there where I can inspect my container registry. I've got a little repository on the left here. and then I can go and inspect it, and you can view your containers there. So we should only see one container there. There we go, and you can get all insight and manipulate that. It's got one layer there, and you can kind of see that's the artifact. Those are all of the different images that you're going to get, and you can push to that. Wow, yeah, it's like I love that view cost there. Let's just see how much we've costed there. This shouldn't actually be that expensive. You can go to cost analysis and all of the niceties around that. Okay, so we got 5 more minutes that I want to show you. So one is I've shown you Azure functions, storage accounts, and the last thing I want to show you is databases. I know, because you really want to see. So recently we just announced on the MS Learn, let me go here, the Microsoft Learn we published. So let's go Microsoft Learn. So you can go Microsoft Learn, click on that, you'll be taken to Microsoft Learn. I'm going to make that bigger. And we have a Java and Azure learning path. And we published today, I was the one of the authors, and we published all of these new paths here that will allow you to use, build a real-time Java solution in Azure, deploy a Jakarta EE application to Azure, and rapidly deploy and develop Java apps using GitHub Actions. So what we're looking here is this example here that I authored. This uses a database to go in and using Terraform with GitHub Actions, and it creates and links your database for you using just a few clicks and just beautiful magical wizardry. So if we go into that, I want to show you the database here. So I've got the application running here, and this is it's called Terraform RPZA, and this is an application in a resource group. And the nicety here is under configuration, we've linked it through to a MySQL database. And I'm going to go find that MySQL database. I'm going to show you how we do it. Obviously, you want to use managed identities. So authenticate that managed identity instead of actually putting it as properties here. This is safe, but it's not the best way. So I've got my data source URL here. I've got my hidden value. And then you can see there, I've got my JDBC, MySQL, Terraform, RPZA, MySQL server. I can go back into my resource group there. And now let's do the last bit there, the MySQL. So we have MySQL, but we also recently announced flexible MySQL. And what that does, it bursts out according to whether you need or want to use that database. I'm using a non-flexible database here, so it's 1 vCore, 5 gigs of RAM. I can scale that out also here, and then I can go into that and also look at the performance. I can query it, and that's available on my Terraform module. And if I go into application services and I browse it, I've got the Spring Pet Clinic running with Terraform, with GitHub Actions, and you can follow all of that with the Microsoft Learn path that we just released today. Including that is Redis. You can see that that's the data there, and that's pulling it from MySQL. So to sum up what we've done today, I've shown you Azure Functions. It's an incredible way to actually get, let me put the links there for a second so you can do that. I've shown you Azure Functions. You can go to the tug of war demos there, functions demo. I've also shown you the AKS tug of war that we did a live tug of war. Thank you, Team One. You really killed me and in that. And the last thing is the Microsoft Learn path here. So we want to go into Microsoft Learn path here, and this is the Learn path. Let's just copy that. And yeah, so that's the Learn path there. So docs.microsoft.com, you don't have to worry about the regional Learn paths and Java on Azure. We have 12 different paths there covering everything from GitHub Actions to Terraform to Java EE to Spring to functions and so much more though. So go into there to docs.microsoft.com, Learn path, Java and Azure. This is also in the Reactor Cloud Skills Challenge that we're doing. So if you don't know the Cloud Skills Challenge, so let's go Reactor Cloud Skills Challenge. Let's see if I've got it actually. No, let's go back to basics. There we go. This is the back to basic event skills that is actually on there. And then right at the bottom here, if you want to get a link for it, there's the introduction to Java and Azure. Click through that, and it takes you through to the learning path. So one, get familiar with those DevOps starters with GitHub Actions. They're just beautiful. And start on the Java Learn board here. We've got some people who are already winning on the Cloud Skills Challenge. Let's go Cloud Skills Challenge. Call out Skills Challenge. I want to call out to some people who have already done pretty well here. So, and I did say that we would say that. So Felix, you've done brilliantly here. You finished everything, which is a real great accomplishment. Devins, also really great. Anuj, Emma, well, Emma, you kind of run the show. Jamal Jones, and then Maria, thank you so much for doing the Cloud Skills Challenge. You still have 28 days. We're doing this across all of the Back to Basics. Thanks so much. We were out of time now. And yeah, so reach out to me on Twitter @RoryPreddy. And thank you everyone for attending. Back over to you, Emma, please, for some Q&A.
Thanks so much, Rory. That's brilliant. I haven't seen questions coming through. However, I posted some of the links into the Q&A box for people to access as well. So please just have a click on those and you can get involved, as Rory said, in the Cloud Skills Challenge. I've linked you to where the on-demand videos will be sitting as well. If you do have follow-up questions, reach out to us on Meetup. Rory also shared with us his contact information at Twitter, so you can reach him there as well. And hope to see you all at the next Back to Basics session, same time next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.